We turn now to guns. A judge this week gave New York State the go-ahead to proceed with a lawsuit that's aimed at dissolving the National Rifle Association. No small task, considering how much lobbying power and political pull the NRA carries. Bloomberg's Eric Larson covers the courts in New York and joins us now. Eric, great to speak with you. How significant is this legal setback for the NRA, or does the NRA still have ways to delay or obstruct this lawsuit?
Well, it's a very significant setback for sure. I mean, if the ruling had gone the other way, the lawsuit would have been dismissed yesterday, and the NRA would be able to focus on its other litigation and, of course, its recent bankruptcy filing and not have to worry about potentially being dissolved for fraud. So it is a setback. But, that being said, the case is far from over. There's still other ways out. The bankruptcy filings do generally allow debtors to sort of automatically get out of lawsuits. For now, they're not trying that, but they reserve the right to do so. They said so in a letter, so they could still try to get out of the case altogether because of the bankruptcy filing. But for now, they're going to be moving ahead with the case. They don't really have a choice. And there could be a trial as soon as 2022, early next year. And, of course, that could go either way. They could win, they could lose. So they do still have ways out of this.
Okay, got it. And I'm glad you bring up the bankruptcy. I want you to connect the dots between New York State filing this lawsuit against the NRA back in August and the organization's decision to file for bankruptcy protection, which was last week. Is there a direct cause and effect here?
Yeah, it's a very straight line. The bankruptcy filing is directly related to New York's lawsuit. When the NRA filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy last week, it said flat out in a statement that the bankruptcy filing is part of a bigger plan for the organization, which is based in New York, to exit that state and move to gun-friendly Texas. The only reason that New York filed this suit is because the NRA happens to be incorporated here. They did so about 150 years ago and never really changed to another state. So they're saying we're done, we're leaving. This Chapter 11 is part of that. And they say that the regulatory environment for guns is too strict in New York, and this is their way out.
And just to be clear here, the NRA... or I should say the New York State Attorney General is suing the NRA for allegedly ripping off donors under the leader Wayne LaPierre. The lawsuit that New York State filed is a civil lawsuit. Do we know if New York is looking to file criminal charges?
If they are, I'm not aware of that. They haven't said so. So really, it's too early to say. They did do quite a big investigation that resulted in this civil fraud lawsuit. So I think it's a safe guess that for now that's not really something that's on the table. But I think that seeking an order dissolving the NRA is still a pretty severe penalty for a civil case. But for now, it is just civil.
It is just civil. Okay. When a company files for bankruptcy, it doesn't shut down. We know that it can still operate, and the court's order basically gives it some space and time to pay off its creditors and reorganize itself. Is that any different when a nonprofit like the NRA files bankruptcy?
I haven't covered a lot of nonprofit bankruptcies, but from what I'm seeing in the court docket right now, it's all very standard, similar to any other company. They're filing motions asking for the court's permission to do its regular financial expenditures like paying employees and health insurance and things like that. But the real difference between this case and other bankruptcy cases is that the NRA has flat out said in a press release that the organization is in its strongest financial condition in years. So it has money. And the bankruptcy, as I said earlier, they're really framing it as just part of a way to reorganize in another state and get out of New York. So there's some skepticism that this is, maybe not the best use of bankruptcy filing and that sort of thing. And so it's kind of unclear where exactly this case will go because of that difference.
Interesting. I did not know that. Well, as you'd expect, the NRA is pushing back against New York State's lawsuit, calling it political discrimination because it's being filed by the Attorney General of a blue state. I wonder, Eric, a final question to you. Does the new Biden administration have any impact on this case or on the future of gun law regulation overall?
Well, I doubt that there will be any impact on this case because this is strictly a New York case. And there's not really a need for the federal government to jump in, or just Tish James, the Attorney General, is enforcing New York state law over charities. That's really all this case is about. But of course, Joe Biden has made it clear that he wants to do something to end gun violence in this country. He said on his website that, it's one of his priorities. So many people die in these mass shootings. And one hurdle, though, is that there is a federal law from 2005 that was passed that protects gun manufacturers and gun dealers from any liability and in shootings and that sort of thing. And so one step might be try to do away with that law, potentially something they could try to do. But for now, it's a big effort, and there's a lot of priorities on the table.
Absolutely. A lot of other things that the Biden administration has to tackle first. Eric, really appreciate your joining us. Eric Larson, of course, covering the New York State courts. And full disclosure, our ultimate boss, Michael Bloomberg, is co-founder of Everytown for Gun Safety, which advocates for gun safety reforms.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.